Welcome to our Friday night edition, Red Pill Rhino Live. We're going to talk about the solar mass ejections tonight. Should be a good time. We'll get this ball rolling here very shortly. Just getting everything situated. Got a late start tonight, so give me a few minutes. I think I'm about 90% wrapped up, but we'll do the pre-roll as usual. Stand by. We've got a good panel tonight. Like old times. Got the band back together, it looks like. So, again, it should be a fun episode. I know it was some clickbait by the title, but we're going to try to avoid the doom and gloom tonight. Unless you came here for that, in which case, we're all going to die. See you guys in a few minutes. By the way, tonight's title was brought to you by one of our panel members. Some of you know him, JMO. Solar penetration these days. That was his idea. By the way, quick credit to this. It is royalty-free music. This artist is Hayden Folker, if you're interested. We have a few others as well that I didn't mention, but I can always tell you guys. There is one of them in the description below. This is royalty-free if you like it. As far as where April is, she is permanently retired, I think. All right. Shadow Hunter really quick here. Leave it to a crayon-eating marine to come up with a toilet humor title. Ain't that the truth? But yeah, if you like this music, check it out on YouTube. Hayden Folker. All right, we're just about ready to get the show started. Give me a few more minutes, and we'll be ready to roll.
it is not the only big weather headline right now. Take a look. A strong solar storm could disrupt communications and produce northern lights across the country. So take a look at this photo. What you're looking at is from NASA. It shows the sun emitting a strong solar flare. It happened this morning. So when intense enough, solar flares can disturb the atmosphere in the layer where our GPSs and communication signals travel. So what does this mean for you? Sandra, you listened in on a call from NOAA a short time ago. I'm fascinated by this. I know you are too. Explain more about what this means for us.
All right, so you have the center of the sun, that's the corona. And when we talk about a coronal mass ejection, that comes after you see that sort of burst of radiation, which is the flare. And it really is dependent upon where it's aimed. So those magnetized particles now are aimed toward Earth. So that's why for the first time since 2005, the first time in 19 years, we have a severe geomagnetic storm watch. Level 4. If it goes to level 5, it's a warning. And basically, this is for the people who deal with the infrastructure, who deal with the power grids, the satellite communications, and the radio situation. There are already radio outages reported right now in Asia, in parts of Europe, and in Africa. So possible disruption of cellular, GPS, and satellite communications. Not necessarily the case, but those who are on guard need to be advised. We're in a solar maximum with the sun cycle, and we're likely to see more of these sort of events in the upcoming days. This watch is active all weekend long. The cool side of this, the gift of it, is the aurora. Aurora could be seen as far south as Alabama with the naked eye. And then somebody asked the question about South Florida. Can we even see it here? It's possible, long shot, but you can't see it with your eyes. But if you take your phone and you aim it to the sky and it's clear, you might be surprised, they said, at what you catch. So hopefully.
Fascinating. Thank you, Sam.
All right. Welcome to a Friday night episode. Yes, we're going to talk about what's going on with the sun tonight. A lot of people are going into panic mode, talking about the end of the world as we know it. It's possible. Of course it's possible. Anything's possible. It's 2024. It's an election cycle. But probably not. If it were to happen, I mean, total societal collapse. No fuel, no banks, no credit card machines, no money, because all money is usually tied up in banking systems now. And, well, if the power's down and you don't have money in the safe, you don't have money. But that's unlikely. Don't panic. It would be maybe advisable if you're not watching this show right now. And if you're here, maybe it's still advisable. If you have something you like I don't know, a phone or a laptop, if you have a way to put it in a Faraday cage type situation, maybe not be the worst idea. But overall, I think we're going to be fine. But we do have a full panel tonight, so we'll get them on as well. And we'll have a discussion about it and see what these guys think as well. So let's just get them all in right now. We've got Jackal the Emperor, MGTOW Mando, Crusader Nate, as always, JMO, that crazy son of a bitch. And finally, our local resident squirrel, which we have to take a moment to thank the squirrel for coming on the best way we know how. If I can find the damn thing, which I can't, of course, I'm on the spot. Where is it? There it is.
Damn, boy. Damn, boy, he's thick. Boy, that's a thick-ass boy. Damn.
So, basically, the end of the world talk again. So, this is basically just another Friday.
Oh, yeah. Just another Friday.
We've heard this before. Basically, just another Friday. Business as usual. Carry on.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Move along. No, I'm actually not too interested in the end of the world aspect. More just the fun side of it. Is a chance, if you don't have cloud cover over one of these rare events, which I have apparently 100% cloud cover at exactly the wrong moment, you could see the aurora as far south as what they were saying. I mean, I know in the Midwest you should be able to see it, but that's only if the clouds don't ruin your night. But yeah, it should be pretty cool. I mean, yeah, maybe some bad things can happen, but who knows? I doubt it. But, toss a coin. We'll see. Panel, what are your thoughts?
Another day living the dream.
This whole thing is retarded.
My sentiments exactly.
Jesus Christ.
I'm honestly
it happens every 11 fucking years.
Or every election year, depending on how you look at it. But, man, what were your thoughts there?
I'm honestly just happy that something that I've wanted to see forever might actually be visible from my home state for once.
There you go. See, that's cool.
What?
Not all
There's a
doom and
bright
gloom.
side.
Lights.
See, there's a bright side to the end of the world. See?
See, yeah,
What?
pretty lights.
Taylor Swift is going to be in your area instead of Rhinos for a change.
No, I have no interest in that plot.
Just a little callback to harass him a little bit because he's here.
But
Good thing we don't know
besides,
anybody that went to a
I
Taylor
wouldn't want
Swift
to take your girlfriend.
Jesus Christ.
She's too young for him.
See, I bring the full panel on, and this is
No,
what
I
I get
think we
right out the
stay
gate. That's what I get.
Right, Rhino? We don't know anybody that likes Taylor Swift and went to her concerts, right?
No.
They canceled the stream
Jesus.
because of it.
I was stuck in fucking traffic, you dicks.
Right.
Yeah, jamming out to the music.
We all right. It's okay. We know she's too young for you.
Listen, when you are a courier, which I was at the time, and you drive through a major city that happens to have every e-thought in the internet going to the same concert as when you're trying to get off work, going the same way they're going, it's going to cause a bit of a problem. Just saying.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to point one thing out, or Outlaw, or Rhino. As a courier, you should have known multiple alternate routes.
It's Denver. Tell me which alternate route isn't an hour delay. It's Denver.
I'm just pointing out that it's
Anyway,
your job
assholes.
it's your job to know the way to and from different locations.
Now that we're done talking about Taylor Swift, because we are done talking about Taylor Swift, let's move on to
Betty
the
White?
topic tonight, shall we?
Betty
Damn it.
The Golden Girls?
We're just going to jump right into the next news article here. God damn it. Let's just get this over with.
Okay, you might want to look up tonight, though.
Yeah, parts of New England, maybe we'll see the northern lights, but it's going to be cloudy in Massachusetts. The Space Weather Prediction Center expects unusually strong solar activity tonight into early tomorrow morning. So they're calling it a very rare occurrence. Places as far south as Alabama, wow, and as far west as Northern California could also
See, squirrels can see the aurora too, so it's all good.
see
They're
it.
freaking out about the Aurora Borealis.
Yep.
What is that?
Well, they're not freaking out about it. They're just saying it's going to happen. It's pretty good.
See, hang on. Outlaw, they're not getting upset about the Aurora Borealis. They're getting upset over the coronal mass ejection that's coming our way that's causing the Aurora Borealis.
Doom, gloom, death, power outages,
So
starvation.
basically another Friday, right?
Yeah, another Friday. Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Red Pill Rhino.
All right, let's just break this down kind of simply. You know how many people freak out and panic and scream and talk about having an EMP or having something like that detonated in low Earth orbit or in our upper atmosphere levels and shutting down power grids? Now imagine if the sun were able to direct an EMP type pulse of plasma and energy towards Earth that would break down and break away layers of the geomagnetic shield that we have protecting our upper atmosphere from said solar winds and geomagnetic storms from the sun, having the sun shoot 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 different CMEs, coronal mass ejections, towards Earth to bombard that magnetic layer to knock it down each layer by layer by layer in order to actually get in and to cause a low yield EMP style interruption into the electrical grid, modern conveniences, modern technology, cell phones, radio waves, things like that. However, on the other side / positive side of this, it gives you the Aurora Borealis, northern lights at night that you can see. They're trying to focus on the positive end of something like this happening, but there may be some good or bad. It may be a great way to separate yourself from technology for a couple of days.
Yeah, there you go. See? It's not that bad.
That
And
is
worst
what I
case
was hoping
scenario,
Crusader Nate would be on tonight.
worst case scenario, you don't have to worry about electronics ever again in your lifetime. So it's a win-win.
Well, that
All
will
right.
happen, so.
Listen, it could happen. It could happen. Could
It
happen.
can't happen.
It could happen. It can happen. It did happen.
But it
We'll talk
won't.
about it. It happened before. It could happen
When did
tonight.
it happen? I'm curious on this one.
The Carrington event,
Thank you.
1859.
You have the link on that? All right.
I do. We'll talk about it. But first, let's get back to annoying newscasters who scream way too loud.
Line here.
So this is like a lot of science coming at you,
All right.
right? So this is a level, this G4 level that has not been issued, a geomagnetic storm watch, a level G4 has not been issued since 2005. So we're thinking this could be significant. So let me tell you what's happening. We are 93 million miles away from the sun. And right now there are 7 what are called coronal mass ejections, like energy coming at us, 7 of them from the sun. So they are traveling toward us, headed toward Earth. And these happen when you get these kind of solar storms to develop, when you get the energy coming off the sun. And we have that right now, and it's going to try to enter the Earth's magnetic field at the poles. And when that happens, it can produce the northern lights. And we think that that may be visible tonight into tomorrow morning. Yes, through parts of New England here, but we're going to see if the clouds are going to get in the way. So you want to look in the darkest part of the night. You want to get away from lights. If we are able to see these, it would happen kind of in that 10 or 11 p.m. window till about 3 in the morning. Sunrise now is 5:30 a.m. or so. So by about 4:30, there is going to be some light on the horizon. So with these multiple kind of energy bundles coming at us, we could see effects lingering Saturday night into Sunday morning as well. So for the next couple of nights, but that level here of severe level is going to be in effect tonight, and it will drop a little bit tomorrow night, but you want to be on the lookout for it. So something we are watching for sure.
And on that note, the comments of the night already. Red Pill Drayden, the sun having more ejections tonight than most men in this country. That's pretty good. All right.
Follow up to that one.
Yeah, that was good. All right. So, as a courtesy, remember, if you're on the panel tonight, to mute your mic if you have background noise of any kind. If you do have background noise, just make sure to keep yourself muted until you're speaking. That way we avoid, deafening the audience with all sorts of crickets and squirrels and screaming and death and murder and whatever else is going on back there. All right. Well,
it's murder.
We'll go ahead. Yes.
The one thing is she mentioned that there's 7 different. What she failed to mention is that these have all come from different regions of the sun at different points in time. We're still waiting on data from satellites to show the first one that hit us around noon or so today. If that was only one of the CMEs, or if that was up to 3 of them that possibly could have joined together. Because if it was only 1, or if it was 3, that will that'll have a bearing on what we're in store for. Because CMEs can take anywhere from 8 minutes to get from the sun to the earth, up to a couple of days. So if you imagine getting hit with one on Friday, getting hit by one on Saturday, getting hit by one on Sunday. And we have 7 of these, possibly from what I'm seeing, maybe 8 of them separated by multiple days. This could actually start peeling away the layer of the onions of the Earth's geomagnetic shield, and actually do more problems longer term, and maybe doing some infrastructure damage.
All right. Now, on that note, I have a serious question for Crusader or whoever might know. If that magnetic shield is peeled away like an onion, like you said, does the magnetic shield heal itself as well? Okay.
Yes. In theory, yes. The Earth's core is kind of like a dynamo.
Meaning?
It's actually technically, the Earth is a giant capacitor. It'll actually take in a certain number of energy, and what it'll do is when it actually tops out, what it'll do is the Earth will actually discharge the energy within itself. That's why you'll see some of that ground lightning actually going back into the upper atmosphere. It's rare to see, but usually after CMEs and events like this, you will see earth to sky ground lightning going back up, discharging some of the stored energy. It's actually kind of cool to see. But what will happen is, I'll have to see if I can find the animation of it. As the Earth orbits around the sun facing portion of the Earth is getting bombarded by the solar winds, which have solar radiation in them, that actually create a magnetic, almost like a comet tail on the opposing side of the Earth from the sun. And as the sun's energy and radiation decreases, the magnetic loops will actually start rejoining themselves on the sun-facing side, which will actually rebuild and repair themselves. And that is actually a byproduct of having the molten iron mantle and core within the Earth, because as the concentration of the iron level in its molten stage, as it moves around and heats and cools and heats and cools, that'll actually move around and create that magnetic field, that electromagnetic shield, so to speak, that actually protects our life on our planet from and creates our upper atmospheric levels, which is very helpful for satellites, is helpful for radio communication, satellite communication, other things like that, because what radio operators do and what cell phones, other kind of different types of radio communications will actually use those geomagnetic layers, so to speak, to actually bounce specific wavelength of radio waves off of those different layers in the upper atmosphere.
Hey, Crusader, refresh my memory. Don't most of our orbital devices, satellites, space stations, etc., instead of sitting in the actual vacuum of space, aren't they just in the extreme upper atmosphere?
Correct.
Okay, so
sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
So in theory, the CMEs that we're getting, yeah, they could be bad, but those devices that I mentioned are probably sitting partially within the protective umbrella of our own magnetic system.
Correct. They're at a different layer of the onion, so to speak, as a way to look at it. The outer layer of the onion would be the one that gets the direct light. But if you peel off that outer layer, there's only so many layers in the onion before you get to the heart of the onion. And as the sun keeps knocking those layers off one by one, depending on, like if the CME this afternoon that hit, if 2 or 3 of them joined together, then it knocked it down from 7 of them down to just 4. But if just one of them hit, that means we know of 7 out there now. I'm seeing unconfirmed reports that there's an 8th one out there, potentially. And also with the sun's rotation on its 28-day cycle, the face coming from the eastern end of the sun to face us is another area that has a multitude of sunspots on it as well, that is very, very well known for being hyperactive and bursting out a lot of CMEs as well. So we may get hit by 6 or 7 of these this week, and in the next couple of days, we may be getting hit by another 5 or 6 more. And if you guys remember last year, we did a stream where we were talking about the variations and the shifting of the magnetic poles and the weakening of the Earth's magnetic field and shield. Put all that together with what I just said.
Basically, you have a perfect storm of magnetic anomalies coming our way.
A little bit.
Yeah, possibly.
Now, my question is, because this is always interesting, we know how the moon affects tides and actually can affect people's behaviors just based on the fact that we are 70% water. So what does something like this do? Are there any studies, any information that suggest how this kind of event could affect animals, people? Like, what would
It
that
doesn't
do?
affect them at all.
That's
actually, it
BS.
does. It actually does.
It actually doesn't.
Yes, it actually does.
Okay.
A CME, depending on the severity of the CME, depending on things as much as barometric pressure, and barometric pressure will increase or decrease the pressure within a cell wall. If you're in a high or low pressure system, that will actually have a bearing on behaviors in the, based on the neurons in the brain. That'll have a bearing on behavior. That will also, and then when you get to the CMEs, depending on how much of that solar radiation is able to actually penetrate and alter the geomagnetic sphere and or excite or decrease the geomagnetic sphere, that can also have a bearing on at a cellular level how the magnetics work within the body, because there is also iron within our own bodies, and that's kind of partly what has some effect on how how the cells and how the body is going to actually react. So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of history on that. NOAA and JPL and NASA just signed off on a couple of different research projects. I haven't fully read all of them through, but they've recently been published in the past 2 or 3 weeks, talking about how CMEs and geomagnetic storms can actually impact the Earth and the Earth's crust, as well as have an influence in earthquakes as well.
Now, see, I know there was a dissenting view, which we can get to, but what I've noticed, just, I've seen articles about it, but I've also noticed it with my own animals at home, just with the eclipse that happened. As the eclipse day was coming, I noticed the animals seemed more stressed out. And for all I know, that was just the gravitational pull and how it affected. I'm not sure the science behind it, but I know they actually had articles to watch out for your dogs, especially during an eclipse, because they can get spooked and dart off. And sure as shit, mine got a little weird the days coming up to and even a little bit after. You could tell a little bit of difference in behavior there. So we had a dissenting view. You said they don't have an effect. I mean, I'd like to believe, based on what my understanding is events like this, we're talking about radiation and geomagnetic shifts and everything else, like, just in the brain itself. Your brain runs off of electrical signals. So I'm not suggesting that you melt and turn into a fucking zombie or anything crazy, but I would imagine it could have an effect on your cognitive skills, possibly because of the fact that it is such a mass amount of shit hitting over and over and over again. It could affect some cognitive abilities. It's just my theory, but I don't know. I'm not the scientist here. I'm just asking the questions. But for those of you with the dissenting view, what are your thoughts? JMO specifically.
Wait, with what?
Yeah, what you said, it doesn't affect anything. What is your thought process on that?
Oh, I'm just reading what NASA says about them. Cannot pass through Earth's atmosphere to physically affect humans on the ground.
That's what it says?
Yes. Like,
but if there's,
that was my fucking argument.
But if there's 7 of them, I don't know, just a discussion.
Okay. Can I point something out? And
yes.
I'll put this as grunt light as I can. Radiation of any kind has a cumulative effect on the things that are hit by said radiation.
Right.
So if you have a rapid onset, essentially, of really dense magnetic fields and high energy plasmas hitting a confined space at a fairly high rate of speed, then you are going to have stuff get damaged. I don't remember the exact formula behind it, but there's certain kinds of ionizing radiation that when they hit an area, one wave will do very little damage, but if you have 2 waves, it does exponentially more damage. It's not geometric growth in the impact damage, it's an exponential growth. And unfortunately, I don't have a really good non-science-y way of explaining this.
All right. I'm going to actually interject here really quick just to point this out in the comments here. First of all, the goddamn town drunk had a point here. Jimmy Bones, if there's a shift in geomagnetics, the migratory birds could be affected, I'm guessing. Yes, possibly. Yes. But here's something interesting. This Red Pill Drayden says, never trust NASA. Yes, never trust a group that in the 60s could land on the moon, but can't do it today. I'm just saying. Anyway, Crusader.
Well, Mando, I got a question for you. Would there be a difference or a variation between calculating the logarithms between ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation if you want to actually figure out that that percentage or that scope of exponential growth, or no?
Yes, there would be.
Okay.
Ionizing radiation, it does damage by stripping off or ionic shells from atoms. Non-ionizing radiation, if I remember correctly, impacts the core of the atomic structure directly. I'd actually have to go and dig up the hard data before I could really give you the full specifics on it.
To a point, but as long as you had that exoshell that has not been permeated by ionizing radiation, the non-ionizing radiation would pretty much be harmless to a fully functional, fully healthy cell, right?
Yes and no.
But
this is where radiation gets weird.
Yeah.
It can act as a particle and as a wave simultaneously. Because radiation has a density to it.
Correct. Now, the reason go ahead.
No, so like I said, this is one of those things where I could give you a 30-minute TED Talks level on this, and half of the people in this audience would leave out of boredom. The other half would want to kill me.
Fair enough. Crusader, where were we going with this?
Well, the reason I was asking is because when you look at non-ionizing radiation, more along the lines of like a radio wave as an example, a radio wave can intensify based on how it's traveling and what any kind of interference and or resistance. A non-ionizing radiation usually will have about it's looked at on a dB scale, much like sound. So if you have a non-ionizing radiation that travels, it's at a 1 or 2 dB, that's going to be normal. But if you take that non-ionizing radiation and it has traveling through a vacuum, much like space or anything like that, you may have that 1 dB signal that may travel through space that can go up to a 3 dB signal, which would be almost I believe 3 times its original point in strength, and I believe, if I remember correctly, it's a 20.6% increase per dB exponential dB gain. So you could actually have a 1 or 2 dB signal with traveling through the vacuum of space that can eventually build up with no resistance to that non-ionizing radiation. That could be 100 times more intense and or powerful in the vacuum of space while it travels with no resistance. Am I right on that, Mando, or am I wrong?
Yes, thank you. You clarified that much better than I was struggling with doing. Okay, here. Rhino?
Yeah.
Let's put this in terms that a 90s kid would understand.
Sweet.
Crusader's coming at you with a Super Soaker 5000.
All right.
I'm coming at you with a squirt gun.
Okay.
They're both shooting water. They're both firing a pressurized stream at you. But Crusader is going to hit you with the equivalent of a garden hose, whereas I'm not. They're firing the same thing and with the same general mechanism, but he's got more pressure behind it. That's okay. That is the simple, stupid person explanation of it. No offense.
Oh, it works. So, all right. St. Louis Arch in the comments here. There are tons of studies showing effects on the brain and heart. Tons of studies.
Now, I want to point something out too. Pop right now is probably in absolute agony this evening, depending on where the impact point was in relation to him, as is anyone else on this planet who suffers from migraines. Because there are anecdotal studies that indicate that when solar mass ejections hit, those of us that do suffer from migraines have an uptick in the activity that causes the migraine in the first place.
Fair enough.
And one of the most common behavioral traits that we have been able to measure and look at within a segment of a population hit by CMEs, where there is a small level of that that solar radiation that does make the surface and impact people, is you will notice erratic behaviors, irritability, short tempers, short fuses, anxiety. All of that stuff is going to be amplified at a non-measurable, insignificant event. You're going to notice people are going to be a little more edgy, a little more short, a little bit more aggravated or irritated. You're also going to notice that in dogs, cats, birds. They're going to vary their moving patterns, their eating habits, what time they wake up, what time they sleep, because the way that they're actually able to navigate themselves into function is they're more in tune with their own body's magnetism, so to speak, and their geomagnetic placement on Earth. As the simplest way of putting it, it's like nature's GPS system, and then imagine taking and jumbling that GPS system up for nature.
Right. What I did is included, because this is actually the article you see on the screen here is quite in depth. What I did is I included it for anybody that wants to read that. You can open up the link and read at your leisure. But it goes into radiation and its effects on biological entities in general. So it's like I said, it's a very lengthy article. It is in the chat now if you want to check it out. They have all sorts of studies here. So very interesting if you're interested in checking that out.
Now, I can attest personally, my cat, now I live on a second floor of a 3-floor apartment complex. My cat right now is in the little kennel that I set up for her for when she's having behavioral issues, as far away from the sliding glass door as she can get and still be in the same room I'm in.
Yeah.
And since I got home this evening, she will not let me touch her. So that tells me that she is in some kind of neurological distress.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jumping into this really quick as well, we've got a little quick video here for you that I think some of you guys will find interesting, so we'll play that for you.
2024. Guys, it looks like we're getting early impact from this group of CMEs.
This is from the real BP Earthwatch.
Again, we have 5 coming now, according to space weather. But if you look right here, and we saw this morning, suddenly, just a few minutes ago, we had a sudden jump of solar wind speed in the purple from 460, guys. Look at that. 27, 699. There's a 7 in here, approaching 1,000,000 miles an hour. That was quite a jump.
1,000,000
also,
miles an hour.
the temperature jumped with it. Look at that. And the plasma density. Remember, it was cruising down here around 1 this morning. Now, we're seeing peaks ahead of the CME as if it had some energy pushing ahead of it just a little bit. But right now, we're cruising at around 30, and that's high. We've got pressure on our plates right now. Now, what I did, I checked this and disconnected my solar panels. Anything you've got sensitive, it may be a good idea. Now, we don't know if it's going to be that severe, but that's a mighty powerful CME, a group of CMEs coming in. And so I prefer to be cautious. And
Broken Pine 284. I trust gas station sushi more than NASA. I don't blame you.
Not have to replace some expensive panels because they've been paid for a while, and I use them in emergencies. They're not full time, but anything you've got like that, it's a good time to think about cell phones, maybe even get your pets in, which we've done, and which they do most of the time anyway. But here we are. We are at the impact point. How much higher will it get? I don't know. But this is, again, an early warning system. The impacts right now, if you guys are sensitive to this type of stuff, then you're probably already feeling it because that's not much of a time gap there traveling at this speed. Now, why did it come in early?
Hit pause for a second right now.
Projected to be moving it over.
That, what he's describing there with the impacts that it's having, that's the cumulative effect that I was trying to explain earlier and tripping over my own tongue on.
Okay.
Where, as me and Crusader both mentioned, if you have more radiation or more of basically anything hitting at once, it's going to magnify the end result of the impact.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
And he also did reference how this radiation and its density actually, we can measure the plasma and the density of this radiation coming and hitting Earth what it's doing is it's actually hitting the tectonic plates of Earth. So that actually goes back to referencing, I believe it was early this morning, where not too far off the coast of Hawaii, there was an earthquake within the few minutes of when this actually hit. There have actually been linked, there's linked data, there's linked research that has come out within the past month that shows that CMEs do have an influencing effect on the crust of the Earth, impacting it and actually having a measurable effect on the causation of earthquakes. So,
yeah, there was a chant that got lost in the mix here, but somebody said there's a small chance California could still fall off the map. So, small
one
chance,
can only
but it's
hope.
there.
Hey,
So we could see some planetary
Hang on a
redecorating.
second. Hang on a second. What's going on, man?
Hey, my kids are getting a bit restless, so I'm gonna hop off here.
No worries, man.
I don't know what that video was about. I thought it was his sister's mating cycles, but
Jesus Christ.
but all right. Well, you gentlemen have a good night.
All right, man.
Yep, you too.
We'll catch you soon.
Have a good one, JMO.
All right, man.
All right, guys. Let's see what I got in the chats here really quick. In case I missed anybody. I wonder if the college brats protesting have wildness breakout this weekend. Their bat's not crazy to begin with. So, yeah, there you go. Tom Davis. That guy is actually in the chat tonight. Noah is actually the one doing the reporting, and I do trust them more than NASA. So there you go. And Ren Pill Drayden again. Think of all the vibrators that are going to have to be replaced after this defense.
Okay,
Yep.
he is hitting on something that we might touch on later if we have the
G spot. I mean,
The bean buzzer.
yes. Please
Oh, my
go on.
God.
Give us
no,
a
what-
teaser.
What I was
Just the tip.
all I was getting at is he just hit on something that we might, if we get to it this evening, was a historical, or there is a historical precedent for with the Carrington event from the 1860s.
Yes, indeed. We will get to that. It is in the queue. Let's go ahead and get through the rest of this video really quick, and then we'll move
2
on.
million miles per hour. And it may have been a little faster than they thought. It's the strongest group like this that they've seen in a long time. But I think that's what happened. The muzzle velocity was higher when it left the sun, and it got here early. Now, technically, they're correct because remember, I've always said it's a plus or minus 7 hours. And we were looking at an impact point around 6 p.m. Central Time. It's 12:37 here now. So they're within that window. And I guess that's a good thing because when we're dealing with this type of energy, and this is just the impact right there of the first section of 5. A couple of them are very close together, and you're going to see some jumps. But right now, you're probably going to start seeing an uptick in quakes. And I would watch because we've seen movement in what's called the North American Craton, guys. Remember that? Most of the U.S. and Canada are on that rock. What is not on that rock are the coastal areas around the nation. But anyway, watch for that because we have been seeing pressure. Not only that, the heat that you see coming in right here, what does that do in the green right here? See that jump? That goes into your magnetic lines of force and is transferred into the core of the planet, and your magma starts to heat up. When
Yikes.
magma moves, what happens? Plates move, tectonic plates shift. Let's take a look at something else real quick. Now, space weather is picking it up also. It's one of the links on our website at vpearthwatch.com. It says the first CME has arrived. The first of 6. I said 5. Now there's 6. The first of 6 hurled toward Earth by giant sunspot AR 3664 just hit the Earth's magnetic field. That's what you just saw. And remember, I was showing you what to watch this morning, and that's a good way to do it, but because the satellites are not lying. When the impact comes across them, picks it up right then, takes a very short time for it to transmit that energy back to, or that information back to the Earth. where it can be decoded, and we're seeing it on the graphs we were just looking at.
All right. Now this goes on for a little bit. If you want to watch more of his episode here or anything else, again, it's The Real BP Earthwatch on YouTube. Now, there is a question in the chat that I don't have the answer for, but it is curious. This is Cliff3188. Excuse me. Hang on. There we go. All right. Question. How intense would one of those cosmic events have to be to cause electronic devices, specifically batteries, I'm assuming he means lithium, to explode? It would be quite catastrophic for everyone's cell phones to suddenly explode. Now, I don't know if that's possible. I do know that those giant, what are they called? Transformers that are on the power lines up there. If a big enough one of these hits, it could cause those to explode. And the problem with that is those are not easy to manufacture, and it could take several years to replace one of those. So if all of those were to go, you see what I'm saying? There is where we have a big issue. As far as batteries exploding, I don't know. Maybe somebody else on the panel can speak to that, but I don't particularly know the answer to that question.
It is actually quite possible for that to occur. However, there's a number of factors that actually would have to come into place. Number one, you would need to have had the geomagnetic layers, so to speak, the shields surrounding Earth to have been knocked down low enough to maybe 1 or 2 layers, so to speak. And then what you would need to have would be what they classify as like an X4 or an X5 solar flare to come in to actually strip away that last 1 or 2 or 3 geomagnetic layers protecting the Earth. And then you would need to have at least an X3 to an X5 or 6 to actually impact surface level with no shielding or protection. And you'd have to have a direct location hit. You would have to hit, let's say, Detroit. It would have to be a pinpoint direct hit to the city of Detroit, and
so
what
not a
will
huge
actually
loss.
or Chicago or whichever, San Francisco, pick a major city, New York, whatever. It would have to actually hit a specific region, and what would actually happen is it would pop the transformers, but you would have to have a high enough radiation level that will actually permeate the polymer layer separating the positive and negative aspects of that lithium-ion battery to actually mix the positive and the negative in order to overload the circuit to cause that lithium-ion battery to actually mix. It's like taking a bolt and putting it across the positive and negative of a jumper cable of positive negative of a car battery, and you get that big spark. That's the same thing. However, lithium-ion batteries are, we see what happens when you get them wet. You would get something more along those lines. And the problems when it comes to transformers is the way transformers are made is they take wafer thin sections of steel and they layer them with a dead airspace, and it's actually wrapped in wire. And what will actually happen is that transformer will vibrate, and that's why you hear that humming when you get near a transformer. It's layers of steel actually vibrating, and if you actually disrupt or connect that, you'll actually short those individual layers, which then, once again, touch the positive and negative of a car battery with a piece of steel. You get a big bang and a big flash, and that's what happens, typically speaking. And Tommy is the expert on electronics, and he could do a far more in-depth explanation than I can on that. I'm an amateur.
Get on with it. Welcome to the show, by the way. And get on with it.
Oh, God. God damn it. So you guys want me to explain to you more about transformer theory?
Yes.
Really?
And how this shit could potentially affect it.
Okay.
Basic level.
Before he jumps in there, can I point something out?
Sure.
Absolutely.
99.9% of this is theoretical. There's been experimentation in laboratories, but we really haven't done any real real world testing of an EMP device on modern equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Most of the data we have is from experiments done when we were still using cathode ray tubes and vacuum tubes as the primary methodology for electronic communications.
Correct.
Fair
So
enough.
we just have to remember all of this is theory. It's not gospel.
Theory.
Red Pill Dragon can fuck off. This is a clean shirt as of this morning.
No, he's talking about where you like completely suited up by the end of the show a few months ago.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So, yes, Mando is absolutely correct on the theory craft. It is a lot of theory craft. Everything that Nate said is also correct, but it's all based in theory. So this is the nitty-gritty of how a transformer usually fails. You have one of two options. You have a dead short, which means your outputs are shorted to the case, which causes an explosion.
Fun.
Most modern transformers are built with a mineral oil coolant in them because we're not allowed to have PCBs. Those are bad. And
Is a PCB, by the way?
It's a chemical insulator that causes cancer and really, really bad two-headed baby syndrome.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's
All right.
very bad. So if you guys hear anybody mention PCBs or contaminated soil that's got PCBs in it, stay the hell away from it. It's not good for you.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dear God.
That stuff is not theory. That's the truth. Stay the hell away from it. It's bad shit. Mando can probably tell us some more of the effects, but we'll get to that later.
All right.
So usually, like I said, the two main failures of transformers is either dead short across the outputs or an internal failure, usually due to overheating. What I can see happening in an EMP or an EMI event. So EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. EMI is electromagnetic interference, which is what we're more likely to see from the coronal discharge from the sun today. Likely, the most of it is going to show up as northern lights, and we might see some static or some actual cell disruption.
Well, hold up. When you say static, explain that, because the aurora looks like this artificial thing behind me. But
sure.
What does the static look like?
Well, the aurora is literally charged particles going across the atmosphere, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So static is what I'm talking about. There is you'll get cell phones dropping calls.
Oh.
They won't be knocked out, but they'll drop calls. You'll see interference with broadcast over internet. So in other words, it'll get choppy.
Radio waves.
Yeah, radio waves. You'll see it on your TV occasionally. You'll get some artificial
actual static. I get you.
Yeah, literally static. Now,
you know what's stupid? Hear me out for a second here.
Yeah,
I
go
literally
ahead.
thought of the old snowy TV static from a TV, but in the sky.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what the aurora is, honestly.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Okay. Rhino,
Yeah.
remember the experiment you might have done in high school physics class where they put a bunch of iron filings on a piece of paper and you stuck a magnet under it?
Well, hold up. You assume I was smart enough to be in high school physics?
I assume you were smart enough to be in high school science.
That would have been
marketing, sociology, psychology. I never did physics, but yeah, the iron experiment with the batteries and stuff. I've seen that.
That's
Yeah,
eighth grade science class is what that is.
sure, but I didn't do physics.
But basically, that's kind of what the aurora borealis is.
But it's particles.
Smaller
That's pretty
elements.
cool.
Yeah, it's literally atom-sized particles.
Yep.
Badass.
And it goes back to what I was mentioning earlier about radiation acting as both a wave and a particle at the same time.
Yep.
And being a ham radio operator, I have permissions in multiple bands of radio waves. And I've been kind of going and checking my radios throughout the day. And usually there's a certain amount of what we call noise. And a certain amount of noise you're going to see on separate and specific bands. Each band is much like the lane of a highway, but it's measured in the wavelength from peak to peak on a meter scale. So if you go peak to peak on a 2 meter, it's very short between peak to peak. 6 meter, 10, 15, 17, 20, 40, 60, 75, 80, 160 meter. Those are longer wavelengths, which will actually go further and further. And what's actually happening is there's so many charged particles within the upper atmosphere that are actually causing interference, causing the static on those different radio waves. Much like the best way to explain it is those radio waves will only go so far before they're just dissolved in the upper atmosphere. Much like, let's say you're listening to your favorite radio station in town, and if you've taken a road trip and you've driven far enough outside of town, you start to pick up some static and the radio station starts to cut in and out. That's what you're going to start noticing if you're in an area that has a geomagnetic interference and a geomagnetic storm. You're going to notice more things, signals cutting out, staticky, making signals unintelligible. You're going to notice things like that are actually going to be caused by the geomagnetic storm. But remember, those charged particles in the atmosphere are also going to be the same things that are going to be carrying a certain level of radiation, and that initial radiation's kinetic energy impacting can circle back to do the same things to question the integrity of those polymer layers between the positive and negative ends of your lithium-ion batteries, which allow them to be so light. And that's also the same thing, going back to what Tommy said, of actually having on the transformers. So this all works together. Yeah.
Now, that being said, I saw a comment in the chat here that I want to bring up as well. Where'd it go?
Yep. Gendais. Yep. That's it.
Yep. Now, here's the thing about that. If they detect a danger to the grid, they will shut everything down to protect the irreplaceable stuff. Yes and no, because they can't put everything in this infrastructure in a Faraday cage, so to speak. And they had the ability to build in, for a lack of better terms, Tommy would know better than I would, but it's basically a resistor in our power grid that would absorb this energy and keep it from blowing out those transformers if it happened. Other countries have developed it. We decided to send our money to Ukraine.
Well, that's not entirely true. There are failovers and fail-safes to where
capacitors?
Yeah, exactly. So when you get a big surge on a power grid, the fail-safes are built into the big transformers to where they will just kick out. And the power will go down.
Let me point something else out real quick. In the Carrington event from the 1850s or 60s, whenever the hell it was,
1859.
Thank you. They reported that telegraph systems that were unplugged and separated from the power supply were kicking on. Other things that were disconnected from power were kicking on.
Yes. And you know why that is?
Because the fact that electromagnetic pulses are essentially electrical fields that are moving through at a high rate of speed in a high pressure environment.
Exactly. They create a capacitance effect. And when you are dealing with a telegraph system, it literally is just little tiny transformers. So there was enough charged particles to create current within a disconnected system. So that's why those things were powering up.
This is a classic is your refrigerator running joke.
Well, it is really, but it's not a joke. This shit is real. It can happen.
I play with it all the time.
Yeah, I do too. God damn.
All
Grab
right.
two
I
ends
have
of a
a telegraph
220
keys.
grab 2 ends of a 220 feet and find out what happens, guys.
Oh my god.
Ooh, it's an
Well,
exciting
I
ride.
actually have. Yeah, I actually have telegraph keys. So.
All right. Let's check out this article because it keeps coming up, so I figure we better talk about it. The Carrington event, history's greatest solar storm that we know of. Let's see. The Carrington event was a large solar storm that took place at the beginning of September 1859, just a few months before the solar maximum of 1860. In August 1859, astronomers around the world watched with fascination as a number of sunspots in the solar disk grew. Among them was Richard Carrington, an amateur sky watcher in a small town called Red Hill near London in England. By the way, side note, really quick, if you guys have any friends overseas, ask them for pictures of the sky tonight. They're already getting pictures. I'm seeing them on my feed. I've got some people from overseas, friends on my list there, and they're sending really cool pictures of the aurora. So if you have any friends in Europe in general, ask them for photos because they're seeing it tonight. Or
I got one better for you, Rhino. I
Sure.
got an actual story to tell you after you get done with the article.
All right.
That just happened with me.
Okay. Well, let's get through this.
I would take
go ahead.
pictures from Alabama and put it on Facebook, but I can't. Facebook.
Save them for when they unban you again. All right. On that note, on September 1st, as Carrington was sketching the sunspots, or just do it on your show. You're not banned on YouTube. Just do a slideshow on your show.
Here's your OnlyFans, dude.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Anyway, as Carrington was sketching the sunspots, he was blinded by a sudden flash of light. Carrington described it as a white light flare, according to NASA spaceflight. The whole event lasted about 5 minutes. The flare was a major coronal mass ejection, CME, a burst of magnetized plasma from the sun's upper atmosphere in the corona. In 17.6 hours, the CME traversed over 90 million miles, 150 million kilometers for the rest of the world, between the sun and the earth, unleashed its force on our planet, according to NASA spaceflight. It usually takes CMEs multiple days to reach Earth. All right. The day after Carrington observed the impressive flare, Earth experienced an unprecedented geomagnetic storm with telegraph systems going haywire and auroral displays, normally confined to polar latitudes, visible in the tropics, according to NASA science. Carrington put 2 and 2 together and realized that the solar flare he'd seen was almost certainly the cause of the massive geomagnetic disturbance. This was in connection that he had previously never been. This was a connection that had previously never been made. According to NASA spaceflight, they keep saying that. The solar system storm of 1859 is now known as the Carrington event in his honor. The origins of space weather can be traced to contortions in the sun's magnetic field, leading to dark blotches or sunspots on its surface, according to NASA Earth Observatory. Fun fact, if you look at the sun without sunglasses, especially during an eclipse, you too can have dark spots. They'll just be in your retina. Don't do that.
Actually,
so there you go.
Actually, Rhino, on that note, if anybody out there still has those eclipse glasses, what you can do is you can go outside if you have a nice, clear, sunny day. You can put them on and you can look at the sun and see the sunspots on the side of the sun facing Earth, because there's a bunch of them. And if you were to look at the sun as a clock, if you were to look below 3 o'clock, between 3 and 6 o'clock on the sun, you're going to see a multitude of dark spots in the sun. And the way the sun is going to rotate is going to be from left to right. So you're going to start to see more of those dark spots appear in a crescent style on the left-hand side of the sun over the next 2 weeks, because as the sun changes its phase in its 28-day cycle, we're going to be seeing a different side of the sun that actually has more sunspots on it, which is going to leave us susceptible to more and more CMEs.
All right. So there you go on that. Excuse me.
Crusader, I just want to ask a quick question, and this is only tangentially related. I apologize, Rhino.
Oh, no, you're good. You're fine.
Does anyone else put 2 and 2 together that the sun and the female members of our species have the same clock.
Meaning?
Well, 28 days.
Oh,
God damn it, Rhino.
What?
Well, you actually have a great point with that because.
Oh, I was going to make a joke there.
Well, it's not. I mean, for those who actually understand the science behind it, it's not much of a joke.
No, it isn't.
The way that the common calendar that we use and we operate on of being a 24-hour day and having 365 days in a year, that's actually very inaccurate galactically in our solar system. If you look at our galaxy and within our solar system, we should, if I remember correctly, have 13 months, and technically our days are greater than 24 hours, but they work in a quote unquote margin of error to kind of keep this system, which is why we have that leap year every 4 years to keep and maintain that 12-month cycle, which is actually based on the old Sumerian calendar. But, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down.
Speaking of which, Red Pill Drayden says, I don't trust those glasses. Pretty sure there were reports of bad batches during the eclipse. Now, listen, I was wearing mine for like hours staring at the sun. There's nothing wrong with me. See, everything's perfectly.
Well, that's a pretty long list, though.
I can't read. I really can't read with that. Okay, but yes, these. Yeah, I mean, maybe there were some bad batches, but I don't know. I stared at it. It was cool. It worked out great. Yeah, no, I actually am tempted tomorrow to go out and check out what you were talking about, since I still have mine. Although I will tell you, there is something important to know about these. It's not listed on the side where it says North American eclipse, but it is listed in the fine print inside the glasses. These do have an expiration date. Do not take old glasses like this and stare at the sun.
So
it would be bad.
You're gonna want to put those back on because my avatar is mooning you right now.
So, you are going to put those back on.
And that is a bright white ass.
You are going to want to put those back on.
No, I can't do the show with them on, or I would.
But this is definitely a great and a wonderful experience to live through and to learn. And definitely something that should provoke people to read, study, and try to understand some of the greater things that we get to experience in our lives. Never
I agree, man. Like I said, the title tonight was kind of clickbait, The End of Days, but,
Kind of clickbait? You sorry son of a bitch. The first post was me calling you out on that, son of a bitch.
Kind of. That's like saying Ray Charles had a slight vision problem.
Mm-hmm. Or that Paris Hilton is a dirty slut.
That was good.
That's also true.
All right. On that note, we'll look at another quick video here. It's basically kind of repeating what we covered, but it's from a Associated Press from this one here. So let's take a look at this really quick.
Lies.
Whatever.
We owe our existence to the sun. But on the other hand, we have also to be a little bit careful, because a star is pretty active, is pretty explosive, it can be very violent as well.
A solar storm kind of starts with what we call a solar eruption, right? So there can be multiple parts of that eruption.
What happened during the last few days, there is a system of very complex sunspots that came together and formed a huge and these are extremely active in the span of a day.
Yes.
Okay, so you can throw the still image back on. This is something that I actually do kind of want to describe because it's really kind of cool. You'll notice how the imagery you see here is oranges and blacks. A lot of times you'll see pictures of the sun that are blues, greens, purples, but pretty much anything other than the yellow that we expect to see looking at the sun from Earth. That's because a lot of those images are done using a form of X-ray type technology, and you're seeing a false color image of the sun when you see these. And it actually, if you really look into the science behind it, it's really quite cool how they do it. I could explain it, but you all would want to murder me afterwards.
Fair enough. Thor 4356, nothing wrong with him, has started going bald. No. That I mentioned this on last night's show, but I'll never hear the end of it. So, my hair trimmer that I normally use, it's called a wall, by the way, started acting up. So it wasn't cutting properly. And I didn't want to take it apart. And I was just like, fuck it. I just need to cut my hair really quick. So I busted out the beard trimmer and it said 3 on it. I'm like, okay, 3 inches. No,
nope,
it was not.
Nope.
So I decided, all right, well, in that case, now that I have a nice stripe down my head, I'm going to do the rest. So that's what happened, guys.
Yeah, 3 is going to give you about 3/8 of an inch.
Yeah, that's about what I got left.
About 3/16 of an inch.
Yeah, that too.
So, Rhino, you essentially went balls to the wall.
Yes, essentially. Yes.
Hey, now that's too much information.
Wow.
Manscaped. This hour brought to you by.
At least we know
Yeah,
Rhino is well groomed.
He went balls to the granny.
The less I know, the better.
So, did you use some of the ball sack lotion on your head?
This episode is about coronal mass ejections, not about.
Oh yeah, there's some ejaculation going on right now.
Once again, this hour brought to you by Manscaped. Go get your trimmer for the nuts and eggs and berries down there. Yeah. There you go.
Has a very important question for you.
Very important. What's the question? Do I want to know? What is the question? I don't see it.
And third one from the bottom, according to StreamYards.
So Rhino hit the wall. Wow.
WHL wall.
No, it's WHA. Yeah. Yeah, what you said. Yeah. All right, Red Bill Drayton. Now we know what Rhino's balls are shaved down to. All right, let's get back to the goddamn show.
They launched, I believe, something like 7 coronal mass ejections.
This is sort of a huge explosion that can be associated with the flare, but basically what happens is part of the sun actually lifts off the surface, right? So this plasma, the charged particles, the magnetic field that makes up the sun, part of it actually lifts off the sun and streams away into space. In this case, we've got multiple, 5 at this point, CMEs that are all coming earthward at the same time. And that's pretty unique and special about what's happened over the last 2 days.
So we might expect power outage in some places. We might also expect some communication disruptions.
All of those different industries, the power industry, the communications industry, the GPS industry, the satellite industry, they're all paying attention and working on the back end so that 99% of the time, none of us are going to be aware of anything that's happening. The most common thing that people might see, the thing that's kind of most accessible to everyone in everyday life, is the fact that the auroras might happen at lower latitudes than normal.
If you have clear skies tonight and maybe the tomorrow night as well, go out there, enjoy the spectacle. It will be amazing.
There you go.
From
the Associated Press.
That last image that you saw on that video was the reverse imagery that I was talking about.
Nice.
Are you telling me the sun is skeeting?
Yeah.
At us?
Yeah.
That's literally what we're talking about.
You need to put up my last one there, Rhino.
I just did. The sun spooge. Oh.
No. The new one.
The sun is skeeting.
Let that get in your eye. It might be as brain dead as Stormy Payday Daniels.
He does kind of look like Stormy Daniels a little bit.
No. We're not talking about your avatar. She's much better looking. She doesn't have wrinkles. Or cottage cheese butt.
So the sun decided to spit at us because we pissed
Spooge at us.
It's spooge, man. It's spooge. I'm telling you, it's ejaculate.
There you go.
The sun got excited.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
It was rubbing a little too much because of Stormy Channel's, testimony.
Well,
pop that shit off.
And I did mention this in the chat kind of as a joke, but honestly, I thought the way Transformers failed was by being put into a movie by Paramount. Rest in peace, Hellraiser.
Wow.
Well, there's your kicker. Paramount. That means alternate mount, doesn't it?
Probably.
Para
On
is
that-
the Greek. Yeah.
On that note, any of you science nerds care to explain this one to me? This is spaceweatherlive.com. First, we have this really cool series of images that I have no understanding about, starting with this one here.
Well, it's a graph.
The KP index is the amount of energy being shot at us from the sun.
Well, I'm no expert, but that looks like a lot, considering it says 8 out of 0.
Pumped is the correct terminology.
Okay.
And fuck you, Jimmy, on your goddamn phrasing.
So it's a lot. The KPI is a lot. And what does the KPI represent? What, like energy, you said?
It's basically the amount of energy.
I believe it is kilopascals of energy.
Correct.
All right.
Okay.
Then we have real-time solar wind breakdown. By the way, this is spaceweatherlive.com if you want to check it out for yourself.
Now, go back up, Rhino.
Yeah.
Those graphs that you're seeing right there are a representation of the amount of energy and the amount of speed that's hitting our planet at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I want to point out specifically is the graph that says density. That goes back to what me and Crusader were discussing a little while ago, where the amount of where the damage caused by radiation will be influenced by how much radiation is hitting you at any given point in time.
And the density, the density of the radiation can basically be correlated to the impact, much like kinetic energy. For example, a 22 has not much kinetic energy. An easy way to put this is, let's say a 1 unit of kinetic energy hits you with 1 pound. You can get hit by, you tie a 1 pound weight onto a rope and you bring it up head height, let it swing and hit you. A 1 pound weight is, you're going to feel it. You're going to notice it. Now, as that density increases, you increase the weight that is impacting you. Okay. So if you take a 1 pound weight, hold it up at head height and let it swing and hit you right in the chest, that's going to feel one way. Now, if you have 765 pounds at head height swinging towards you and hitting you in the chest,
yikes.
Yeah,
there you go.
get the picture.
That's a simple way of breaking it down.
Yeah. And then you're
so much splooge on my dishes. I can't take it.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
We really aren't. We would be if our magnetic field was weak enough that any of that could actually punch through.
Correct.
And this is this image here I actually can understand. This is where you'll be able to see the aurora. Obviously, in the green areas, probably a little bit, but not as great. And then anybody down here is just fucked. Like you're just all fucked. All right.
Go ahead and exit out of that screen, Rhino.
Yeah.
Click the more data screen, like we did prior to the show.
Damn it.
Enhance.
And right there.
There you go.
All right. So if you're here, everything's good. If you're here, you're fucked. Well, okay. More specifically, if you're here, you're fucked out of a good view. If you're here, you might be fucked in other ways.
Well, what you're gonna, if you notice around the North Pole there, you're gonna see that there's that opening, and there's the visibility of the aurora on the inside in that green zone. That yellow zone is gonna have some interferences of radio waves, whether it be satellite communication or radio communication. That's going to have a minor impact there. Now, when you get into the red areas that is where you're going to start having more of that heavy density and heavy penetrative radiation from the sun coming through. That is where you're going to notice the areas where you have power outages. You're going to have interference with websites being down, internet, cell phones. And that red area is kind of the danger zone, so to speak, of what is actually going to be affected. I do know some people that work for some public utilities, and they've pretty much, from what I've heard, almost all hands on deck. They're waiting for something to blow. They're waiting for something to pop.
There's so many references here.
I know. But inside of that red zone, if utility workers are waiting, like they pretty much pulled all hands on deck to make sure that they have the right people, the right parts, the right staff, the logistics and the coordination to not only prevent the problem from happening, but if something were to fail, a transformer were to fail, they have parts and or spare transformers available in-house on a truck, ready to go to replace one if it goes.
Yeah, unless you live in like this area up here, if you can see. Oh, there it is. This area where the little finger is. See that? That's Canada, and up there you have Trudeau. So good luck.
Burn that motherfucker out, man. Get rid of him.
Here's the question that I think needs to be asked in this kind of situation. Are any of those transformers that are being held back as reserve in a shielded facility?
You would think so.
If they're not connected, they should be safe.
Yeah.
Remember,
Most
the
of the
Carrington
time-
event did charge things that were not hooked up to the power
Right,
supply.
but we're not in an EMP situation right now.
Yet.
Not yet.
We're not going to be, guys. This is a massive solar flare, but it isn't a nuclear bomb detonating above these transformers. And that's what it would take to get them to burn out if they are disconnected.
What we would have to know is, I mean, there's 7, possibly 8 of these CMEs coming our way.
Mm-hmm.
We know we got hit by one earlier today around midday.
Yep.
We don't know if it was just one that hit us or if 2 and 3 actually married up and conjoined into making one massive, or if this was just one and 2 or 3 weaker ones. We don't know. We don't have the telemetry data on these. We don't have any of the quick working models. They haven't released any of that information yet, so we do not know how many have hit us and how many are yet to come. But if we let's say we got hit by the first 3, that means there's 4 more of these out there. If they hit the same area, they can knock down the geomagnetic shield and field and can lead to a smaller Carrington style event, much like what you saw in that red zone there.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the one area, but it would hit one spot on the earth that would actually be affected.
Right. It's possible you could wash away enough of the ionosphere to actually get penetration. It's possible.
You could. It's possible. Now, from what I understand from people I know that work for utilities like that, when they transport transformers specifically, they actually have them shielded. They're actually put into packaging, and they have them wrapped specifically like when you buy a computer, it comes in that anti-static plastic. That's to prevent
Faraday cage.
Exactly. Not many people know what a
Okay,
Faraday cage
that's
is.
exactly what I was getting at.
Yes. When they package those after manufacturing, they sit basically in a Faraday cage and they're isolated completely from any kind of exterior charging of the case or accidental discharge that contacts the case to damage the transformer within the casing.
Yes.
How do I know this
All
stuff?
right. Yeah.
Well,
Peter,
it's called.
It's because your brain retains information like that, whether you want it to or not.
Well, it's called curiosity and listening and then retaining.
I'm good at the first two parts.
Are you sure?
Retention is the hard part. It really is.
Yes.
That's what she said.
All right.
Well, especially if it doesn't affect you directly.
Yeah.
It's nothing to be ashamed of.
Fair enough.
You should be ashamed, but that's not what to be ashamed of. That haircut is something to be ashamed of.
Moving back into the shop. What if a powerful coronal mass ejection hit Earth? 11 things to know. First of all, we talked about this for an hour and a half now. I think you got that point. How does it affect Earth? Well, we've kind of talked about it, but picture a hydroelectric plant where turbine spins from the sheer force of cascading water. A generator connected to the turbine converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. Basically, the turbine spins copper wire inside the generator around huge magnets, creating electricity. The faster the coil rotates, the higher the current the generator produces. Enter Faraday's law of induction. A changing magnetic field generates an electrical current with a conductor. All right. The sun unleashes coronal mass ejection, and soon after, magnetized plasma slams into the Earth's magnetic field. We call the spine-chilling event a geomagnetic disturbance. Part 3. The impact bends Earth's magnetic field. We kind of talked about this already. Sometimes even overwhelming it. As a result, geoelectric fields appear in the Earth's upper atmosphere. Part 4. Here on Earth, thousands of miles of low-resistance transmission lines crisscross the landscape. Additionally, many low-resistance man-made ground wires run underground. Visualize these wires as our generator for Part 1. Each wire will act as a geomagnetic antenna ready to go. Part 5. As Earth's magnetic field shifts, the wires from Part 4 experience induced currents. We call these geomagnetically induced currents. This chain of incredible events shows how unwanted currents can easily sneak into our power grids, keeping us on high alert. So this is from engineercalcs.com, if you want to check that out. The title here is What If a Powerful Coronal Mass Ejection Hit Earth? It goes into detail of everything, pretty much what we discussed, but if you want to retain more information, this would be a good place to read and reread. The chances of it happening, obviously, you know, about 1859. Telegraph wires shorting across northern Europe and America. We know that. Where does it say as of now, we estimate that every 200 years or so, Earth will be struck by a monumental event like the Carrington event. But the million-dollar question remains, when will an even more massive event come knocking at our door? The question is, the answer to that question is that we don't know for certain. All right. How much time do we have from a powerful coronal mass ejection? Yeah. Thanks to our everyday advancing technology, we're keeping shut up. We're keeping a watchful eye. Hey, you guys.
How long do we have to close our eyes before we get spooge in them?
Yeah.
Hang on. I want to point one thing out. Tommy, you can attest to this. In the military, when they go through training for nuclear or reacting to a nuclear weapon, we're told to watch out for or calculate the flash to bang time.
There's your answer.
If you see the flash, your eyes are already gone. You're done.
You'll have 15 hours heads up.
With a coronal discharge, yes.
Right. So there you go. There is
with a nuclear discharge. If you see the flash, you're done.
It's too late.
Well, I was just pointing that out, Tommy.
No, it's good. It's good information, actually. I'm glad you brought it up, Mando. You're not wrong.
No.
And yeah, if you don't see it directly, you might have a chance to survive the blast because
with most of your optics intact.
Right. As long as you can get into a secured bunker or a hardened bunker of some sort, you might survive it.
Just make sure you don't have anybody from Snopes with you, because they might try to debunker you.
Now, what we've been saying all night, and what I'll re-emphasize here, this is from MSN.com, which mainstream media, but whatever. Yeah. It says here, what is happening on the sun? We talked about this. Why did it skip on me? There it is. How serious is this event? Again, this is mainstream, so what they say is usually the opposite. But in this case, I think they're right. Experts at NOAA say it's probably not a big risk to Earth-based systems, but it is a rare and serious event. Like tornadoes and hurricanes, geomagnetic storms are rated on a 5-point scale, and this is supposed to be a G4. So it is pretty big, but, you know, not the end of the world. Like Tommy's saying, probably not going to cause any serious issues. So I think we're okay. And on that note, we have actually covered all of the articles that were worth going over tonight. We've actually finished a show in under 2 hours. Holy fuck, guys.
All right.
Well, should we mark this on our calendars?
No, because you guys could talk for another 20.
So basically another Friday night.
Do you guys want to hear my experience tonight?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So little background. The girlfriend in Colombia got a job down in the very, very tip of Colombia. Just the tip. It's right on the Amazon River in the jungle. She's doing outreach psychological work with the local indigenous peoples. Okay. So I had a fucking call with her tonight on Skype. And this thing was, that area is got really poor service for most everything because it's very backwater, if you will. But I was watching the way that the internet connection was working, and you could tell what was going on because that is probably a satellite feed down there. They don't have landlines to that location. That was probably like SpaceX or one of the others. I would say it's probably SpaceX because the latency was actually pretty damn good. She was reacting to texts a lot faster than video, but we had video, but the video was breaking up periodically. So she's right there damn near on the equator at that point where she's at in Colombia. That is not in one of the zones.
Well, okay, those zones are only where you're likely to see the aurora.
Right, but it's going to affect everything.
Correct.
Yes, it will.
Yep.
And the red zone is the actual high impact / quote unquote danger zone of where the radiation is actually hitting and actually disturbing the upper atmosphere. The one thing that not many people take into consideration is with the oblong / oval / round shape of the Earth, there are areas in the upper and lower latitudes of Earth where the crust is actually thinner, where you actually have different levels of electromagnetic radiation capable to actually transfer in and out of the Earth's atmosphere. It's weaker areas of the atmosphere that will actually allow that electromagnetic radiation, that CME radiation, to actually penetrate, and that's kind of a weaker spot in the upper and in the lower atmospheres. If you were to look at where the equator is.
This one's just for Red Pill Dragon.
Dear God.
Drayden.
Oh, God.
I changed my shirt.
No.
I went full Skinwalker on you guys.
I mean,
kill that camera.
Yes. Look at that shit. Isn't that beautiful?
And on that note, I think we should end the stream.
Yes. On that note,
I'll
gonna
put
go
my
get some
shirt back on.
Listerine, and I'm gonna pour it into my eyes.
Listerine in the eyes. That's terrible. There we go.
I mean, I already had to
$5
do
from
that when I
Sean
looked
St.
at you,
George.
Rhino.
$5 from Sean St. George here over on YouTube. Not on the panel tonight, so you can't complain about the super chat. Fair enough, sir. But we did get bribed for Tommy to change his shirt. Instead, he just, well, I don't know what the hell happened there.
I changed my shirt.
Well, technically, it's the same shirt. I mean,
well, I put my shirt back on, but I changed my
tomato.
shirt, which was a Steve shirt.
Technically.
So here, I've got a challenge.
And demonetized.
Yeah.
I've got a challenge. Watch this shit.
What am I watching?
You're just going to see it when you get it.
After what I already saw, I'm not sure if I want to see anymore, you know?
Right, right. Well,
There's not much left to see. And
Yeah,
it's not
what
good.
the hell do you want?
No.
Come on,
You
motherfucker.
guys can keep waffling. I have something I got to get taken care of. So
Yes, we are going to wrap up the show here. So, but you are, if you got to head out, man, I totally understand.
Yeah, it's time for me to make like a fetus and head out.
God damn it.
Not make like a fetus and get blended?
Well, Jesus, Jackal. Anyway, thank you for coming on the show tonight. And I appreciate all your insight because I don't know any of that. So that was very cool. Thank you.
Anytime. I figured Mando would appreciate that little comment.
Yeah, I don't know.
I appreciate.
I don't know
the
about
backup.
Jackal's comment though. That was a little bit.
Yeah.
God.
Well,
And
Jackal
you.
being Jackal, but I'm going to split. You guys have a great night.
All right, man.
All
Catch
right,
you later.
banana.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You got to watch this. You got to watch
What are we
this.
watching? What are we
Gotta
watching?
make like a banana and split, man.
Bam!
Oh, shit.
Match that,
Holy
motherfucker.
shit.
Match that.
Oh God.
What'd I tell you
Thanks,
guys on the
Tommy.
fucking panel? Anyway, thank you, sir.
I
Appreciate
gotta
it.
run. I got some stuff to take care of.
All right. Take
You guys
care,
have
man.
A great night.
Be
Later.
good.
I can't
All right,
match that.
Tommy, for
Spent
100
double of it.
fucking dollars. I guess, you know, if we have to stare at his nips, at least, you know.
Hey,
there's
I
some
made it worth
perks.
your while, didn't I?
That's very true.
He paid
All right,
to
on
show
that
his
note-
nips on stream. This is reverse.
Oh my
OnlyFans.
God.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you so much, sir. We better wrap up the show here before anything else gets
Yes,
whipped out.
please do.
Oh, I could do that too.
Oh no, no.
No.
I'll break out the Only Flares channel.
What we'll do is we'll have a brief after party so you guys can check out whatever else Tommy has in store. But for the rest of you normal people who don't want to be subjected to that, please watch the goddamn bacon in an hour. He's too drunk to be on air now, apparently, but in an hour, go watch the goddamn bacon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the goddamn bacon on YouTube. Go check him out right now. That's what you should do. Leave here. Leave. Get the fuck off of here and go watch the goddamn bacon. All right, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to take the panel backstage. I will post up the link while the show is closing. For those of you who want to join the after party, thank you all for tuning in. And thank you to the panel members for joining and contributing to the show tonight, because this is not my forte. And we actually had some pretty good discussion tonight. Sorry for those of you that had to witness Tommy's nipples on the air, but, you know, it is what it is. And also, Tommy, thank you for the donation, as well as Sean St. George for the donation tonight. Much appreciated, gentlemen. All right. Until next time. And I said, you know, last night that we wouldn't probably do a show tonight, and then we did. So I can't promise you when the next show might be. It might be tomorrow, but that's a lie because I'm definitely taking the day off. But we will see you next week sometime. Thank you all again for tuning in, and you all have a great night.
We are the arbiters of this society.
Repeat after me. Public citizen, we must maintain our neutral carbon footprint. Repeat after me. We must eat the bugs. Repeat after me. We must eat the bugs.
This is a world that we create and manage. The people, they need to be controlled.
Hold
them
up, hold
tools, but
up.
only our
I missed one. It didn't show up, but I saw it. I got to read chats. We got a Rumble chat here really quick. Red Pill Drayden, $10. Oh, God. No. Put a shirt on. So, yeah, you did actually send the $10. Thank you, Red Pill Drayden. Saw that. Looks like we have Vincent Van Gogh. Fuck yourself. I don't know why these didn't show up. They're supposed to show up on my screen, and for some reason they didn't. That's why I was going through and making sure. Vincent Van Go Fuck Yourself for $1. The wall. No one on earth can make it fall. Nice. Red Pill Drayden, $5. Thanks for all the info. Holy crap. Sorry, guys. Rumble is just shit in the bed. You're getting the donations through. That's happening, but it's not translating to StreamYard the way it should be. Vincent Van Go Fuck Yourself for $2 there. Have at it, Lansing instead, specifically Stretch and Gretchen Whitmer's house. I hate that bitch. There you go. So we're caught up on chats now. I am so sorry, guys. I thought we were clear. Just want to let you know we did read your chats. So if you already left the show and you come back and go, that bastard didn't read the chats. We did. Sorry. Just it's supposed to be on the screen here. And for whatever reason, it didn't show any of them here, but it does show them on my other screen. So sorry about that. Apologies. But yeah, we'll get back to the outro. Thank you again for all your donations. It does mean a lot. Thank you for showing up tonight. And again, we will see you next week. One more thing. Let me check. MGTOW.TV is down. It's been down for the last 20 minutes. If you did donate over there, email me at redpillrhino@hotmail.com. The coronal mass ejection, not erection, must have damaged MGTOW.TV. So if you did super chat there, email me, redpillrhino@hotmail.com. I will read your email on the stream at the opening of the next show. I apologize about that. And thank you again. Really do appreciate it. Didn't mean to slip through the cracks on those chats. So thank you guys. All right. I'm out of here. Thank
you. They are not to seek information anywhere else.
It is my job to keep order. So what you saw didn't happen. Erase everything.
You a grunt? I used to be one, and I was good at it.
I know. Things were simpler then. I have some questions.
You need to understand, we're being hunted.
By who?
Bring him to me.
This breaks the world.
Your story isn't over yet. There's still a page left.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll bleed on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit and I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you choke, I'ma poke a hole through you. Choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes my dynasty.